7 habits that make you look older and less attractive. Stop these. You know how sometimes you see someone from across the room, and before you even process their facial features, you get a vibe about them? Maybe they look vibrant, sharp, full of life. Or maybe they seem tired, weighed down, and older than their actual years. The wild thing is, those impressions usually have less to do with wrinkles or gray hair, and more to do with tiny everyday habits that either lift you up or drag you down. When I first started noticing this, it wasn't from a magazine or a beauty blog. It was from people around me. My neighbor, Linda, is in her late 50s, but she has this radiant energy that makes people guess she's in her early 40s. On the flip side, my old coworker, Dave, was just 32 but carried himself like a worn-out 50-year-old. That's when I realized how old you seem to others is a combination of your attitude, habits, and self-care, and most of it is in your control. Take posture, for example. I remember being at a community picnic one summer, chatting with a woman named Rachel. She couldn't have been more than 28, but the way she stood, hunched forward, shoulders caved in, made her look tired and uncertain. It wasn't that she wasn't pretty. She absolutely was. But her posture sent a signal before her smile could even make an impact. Compare that to Linda, who stands tall with her shoulders back and eyes bright, and suddenly the difference is night and day. People associate upright posture with confidence, health, and vitality. Slouching, on the other hand, has this strange way of shaving years off your energy and adding them to your appearance. Then there's the skin factor. Not in the you must look like a porcelain doll kind of way, but in the way you treat it over the years. My friend Chris learned this the hard way. He spent most of his 20s and 30s working construction, barely ever wearing sunscreen because he figured it was just for women, or for the beach. By 40, his skin had deep lines and spots that made him look older than some of our 50-year-old friends. On the flip side, my cousin Emily, who's been religious about washing her face at night and putting on SPF in the morning, has skin that still has that healthy, even glow, even though she's had her share of stressful years. Skin tells your story, and caring for it sends the message that you value yourself. Neglecting it tells another story entirely. Style is another one. This one's tricky because style is personal, and I'm all for wearing what makes you feel comfortable. But I've also seen how getting stuck in a style from a decade ago can unintentionally date you. My buddy Mike still wore the same baggy jeans and oversized polos he rocked in college, only now he's a dad in his 40s, and instead of giving off laid-back vibes, it gave him stuck-in-the-past vibes. It wasn't until his wife convinced him to try some updated fits that people started noticing the change. And it wasn't about chasing trends. It was about showing that he's still connected to the present, still paying attention. Negativity is one of the biggest invisible age boosters there is. I'll never forget sitting at a diner with a group of old classmates and realizing I was inching away from one of them, a guy named Jared, without meaning to. Every topic, the weather, his job, the price of coffee, turned into a complaint. He was only 35, but I swear the air around him felt heavier. People like Linda? They've had their struggles too, but they tell stories with a laugh. They make you feel lighter just being near them. That kind of energy, or lack of it, sticks to your image more than you think. Sleep might sound boring compared to style or skincare, but it's a powerhouse when it comes to how you look. I used to think I could just power through without sleep. Back when I worked in retail, I'd pull late nights and then be on the sales floor at 7 a.m., thinking coffee could cover the damage. It didn't. My eyes looked puffy, my skin dull, and my mood short-tempered. That was the first time a customer guessed I was 10 years older than I was, and it hit hard. Getting consistent, quality sleep isn't glamorous, but it's the difference between looking alert and fresh versus worn out and older than your years. Dental health might not be the first thing you think about, but it's huge. A bright, healthy smile is like an instant youth filter. My old boss, Susan, was meticulous about her teeth. Regular cleanings, whitening every now and then, and flossing like it was a religion. She's in her mid-40s, but her smile is so bright and healthy it lights up her whole face. On the other hand, my uncle skipped dental care for years, and by 50, he had missing teeth and discoloration that aged him more than any wrinkle could. It's not about vanity. It's about presenting yourself in a way that says you take care of yourself. And finally, curiosity. You can spot it a mile away when someone's lost their curiosity about life. They don't try new foods, don't read, don't ask questions. They settle into routines so tight there's no room for surprise. I've seen people in their 20s who've already stopped exploring, and I've seen people in their 70s who are still taking cooking classes and planning road trips. Guess which ones come across as younger? My neighbor, George, is 71, but last month he was learning to surf. He told me, "It's not about being the best. It's about feeling alive." And that's really the core of it. What's amazing about all of this is that you don't have to overhaul your life overnight. You don't need a Hollywood budget or a magic serum. You just need to notice these habits and choose differently. Stand tall like Rachel's learning to do. Protect your skin like Emily. Update a piece of your style like Mike. Choose to laugh like Linda instead of complain like Jared. Get the rest your body's asking for. Take care of that smile. And never, ever stop being curious about life. If you start small today, you'll notice it, not just in the mirror, but in the way people respond to you. Because looking younger isn't really about looking younger. It's about projecting life, and that's something no number can define.